Hey guys, how's it going? I know it's been a little bit since I posted something on the channel, but UVS Games sent me some stuff to open. If you guys don't know, I am recording a podcast, so I'm still doing content currently. It's just on the MGLA channel. It's where we decided to host it. It's me, Ryan Levine, Mitchell Chimino, and Travis Tangeman. We just sort of talk about the game and, thoughts on the meta, stuff like that, and new cards, and the like. So it's been fun. But I wanted to show off the stuff UVS Games sent me, and I'm recording this actually 2 days before Louisville, so maybe share a little bit of my thinking on the format and how things are going. I actually kind of like it more than I did, which is cool. So, first off, big shout out to UVS Games for this stuff. This mat is available on the store as well as these two Challenger decks, so we're going to open both of these on camera and sort of talk about the cards a little bit too. But yeah, you can go and get them at the UVS Game Store or your local game store if they have them. The mats are now like this stitch thing, which is cool. The art looks great and everything as usual. So yeah, we'll start with the Ryu one, I think. But anyway, so yeah, Louisville's in a couple days. Going to be probably the biggest tournament this year, barring Worlds, which I guess we'll see how big that gets. But that would also be next year, technically. So you get this pack and deck here. Currently, in terms of what I'm thinking of running, probably a backup deck. I've enjoyed Zeke in the past, and it's just sort of felt the best at the moment, but not entirely sure. There's a couple days left. Things could change, so hopefully I don't struggle too much with this. Alright, so let's get to this deck, and then I'll do the Chun-Li one. Okay. So Ryu is fairly non-gated on his damage, and he draws cards, which is pretty sick. I do like this character. I just feel like he's a little bit slow at the moment, and also there hasn't been a ton of support for him recently. So maybe Turtles will change that, because we're getting two more of his symbols that don't really currently have a lot. Luke feels just kind of weak. Unless you're trying to specifically play this because you like the character, I'm not a huge fan of him. +1, +2 is alright, I guess. That's pretty much all I got to say about this guy. So then we've got some of the attacks here. Avenger, Impaler, 2 Hashigeki. This is like Ryu's signature move, I believe. It's actually a store promo as well, so they have a nice art if you participate in locals. Pale Rider. I like this attack quite a lot. It's like a Storm of Arrows that's more generic, but has the additional cost of Drive 1, which if you don't know is commit a foundation or spend a momentum. Rising Uppercut. I think this card is going to be the thing everyone is after. It's like an evade copy for highs that aren't ranged, which is really nice, and then it also hits them for 4 because you're able to play an attack on their turn. Currently not a lot of synergy with that in particular, but we'll see what comes out in the future. Shin Hashigeki. I really like this card. This one is just an engine for stunning them out if you give it a bunch of damage, and it's on the fire symbol, so it interacts really well with like Mikasa's Admission, Bertolt 2. There's probably some other ones I'm not thinking of. I mean, it's attuned, right? So you can do like greater goal stuff. I'm with you. Unending Path. This card is really good. This card is on a Rodan symbol, and it says when you block, look at the top 2, and you can add any number of them to your discard, and if they have 10 or more, draw a card. And it's not unique, so you can build multiple of them. So yeah, a decent number of good cards in this deck, actually. We have 4 Burnout. This is actually, I think, the weaker of the 2 actions, but this one, when you play it, they commit 1, and it gives your attack 2 damage. So in theory, this could, like, commit their character or something if they're fully tapped out. Sort of like Mason Mallet does, but Drive Parry is a much more exciting card for me. And Drive Parry is also a better block mod, so 1 mid. Just put these here. Crouching Medium Kick is just sort of a flow move. If it deals, your next gets 3. Luke's Sweep. He plays attacks EX ability, gain a momentum. We have this in Fajin Flurry, and Fajin does it better. Curious that this doesn't actually work with Luke until you EX it, but okay. Sandblast. This is a target commit, a spam foundation. That's fine. Solar Plexus Strike. If this deals damage, choose a card in your rival's discard and add it to the top of their deck. I mean, it's cool. You know, you can stack some stuff. Battle holds the answer. Okay, this one is an incredible card. This is a 2/6 that you can stack to the top of your deck that's tenacious. So you can pass a check and then debuild yourself to check a 6. Gonna be a lot of nonsense that you can do with this card. Like strings that you should not be able to pass unless you were extremely lucky. You will just eliminate that variance, right? This card is -2 speed, and if it deals damage, ready this card. Kind of weird that it says non-throw. I feel like it'd be fine to just slow down a bunch of throws. Doesn't change a whole lot. This is just E-flip 2 damage. I'm sure this could find a home somewhere, depending on what you're trying to do, right? I will deal with that in a second. So Fist of the Ages, this attack gets speed and damage, and then you can flip to do the same thing again. Sorry about the ping. This one is also pretty interesting. Fist Solve My Problems is like respond, flip, set it to 4 speed. This works against Deku. This is actually an answer to Phantom Threat, like the combo, which is really good. This bounces an attack which is fairly strong, but the numbers on it are pretty weak, and then you also have to check a 7 and flip and commit it, which is a lot to ask for. I think it will see play, especially in decks that just build out a lot of foundations. The all simple is stuff like Nick Reagan and Younger Toguro that like go pretty wide, so I could see a place for this kind of card in them. This is a Tenacious Ready when you use it to commit for a drive cost. Not bad, but it does flip, so. And then this card is quite good. This card is like Danger Sense, actually. It just changes the block zone of this card when you block with it. So that's the Ryu deck. I'll save the packs for the end, I think, and then I'm going to open the Chun-Li one here in a sec. So Chun-Li, as a character, interacts with kicks, but she only clears 1 each turn, and then her response is when they block, they freeze a committed foundation, which is fine. I think these characters are a little too fair currently. I tried to work a little bit on Chun-Li. I think she's really cool with like Mighty Blitz and a card you'll see in her kit. But overall, she is, as I said, a little bit too fair, if I had to guess. Someone might have found something with her. I guess we'll see. You know, the regional is about to happen, which is... I'm excited for that. The other character in this deck is good, though, which is neat. Alright, so... that's Chun-Li. I just talked about her. The other character is Jamie. This is an aggro character. It's actually quite nice. He commits on play and then gains counters and essentially gives stacking symmetrical stats. So he goes 1/1 up to 4/4. And yeah, people have been playing with him. I've played into him. He's a reasonable aggro deck. You can definitely play some solid defense, and you don't really have to, like... He doesn't ask a whole lot of you on offense. Like, he can just put 4/4 on anything, and it becomes threatening eventually. So, yeah, I think he's pretty good. Okay, Aerial Kokosho. Community is pretty split on this card. This card is a calorie counter shaped card that you can play on your opponent's turn. You can play any number of them after an attack is blocked, which is like kind of crazy in theory. There's obviously a huge cost associated with it because you're placing these into your card pool. So if you put multiple in, you might hit them for 2/3 of your life, but you open yourself up to dying that turn, of course, because you have a high amount of progressive difficulty. So it's interesting. People have said it's Magical Christmas Land or just like too unrealistic. Currently, I don't think it's great, but again, like we have not ever had reversals where you can put a whole bunch in on the same turn, and that's kind of unexplored design space, I'll say. So we'll see. Maybe someone finds something with this card. I certainly have not. Alright, so Arrow Kick. Do you play this attack? It gets +2 speed if your character is ready, or 2 damage if they're committed. Just kind of a flow piece for Jamie, I guess. I don't think you really use much of Jamie's attacks in him outside of this one. This one's good. Break-In is a drive 1 cost response, and when you play it, you can add a drink counter or ready your character. So for him, it just gains his stats, it ramps them up faster. It also has Powerful 3, which is not irrelevant. Like, this card will kill people for sure. And then there's a whole bunch of other interesting water characters. A couple in Standard, but a whole bunch of older ones that, like, you can ready now that are really neat. Okay, 100 Lightning Kicks. Yeah, another one that's like, this is another card worth talking about. This card, when you clear, or when it leaves your card pool, you may respond discard one, and then add it back to your hand. So that means if it gets removed, if it gets manifested, if it gets cleared, there's a lot of ways to spam this card, and it is, it's a fairly honest move, a 4 mid-5 stun 1, but the fact that you can loop it over and over makes, I mean, the world is kind of your oyster on what you want to do with that. I think currently this is a bit underrated and it's not quite able to get there. However, the opportunity with like all the air clear synergies and stuff is definitely there. The potential for this card to do something certainly exists. Man, all these cards are pretty reasonable. Phantom Sway is a drive version of the Chimera Kraken Enhance that target commits and freezes a foundation. It's also a low with EX, so this card is certainly probably pretty big for Godzilla specifically, and then there are other decks that I'm sure can use it. I mean, extra copies of Kraken are just good. When you hit with 2 Krakens in a turn, it feels terrible. Obviously, the cost on this is a bit higher, being a drive 1, but I think that this card is great. Okay, Dance of the Phoenix. This one's unique. And it's once per turn after your attack is blocked, your rival freezes a committed foundation, so it's the same response as Chun-Li, so they would freeze 2. And then if they have 10 or more, you target, commit, and freeze 1. Pretty cool. In Chun-Li specifically, if your opponent is going to walk into this card, they lose a lot of resources right away. I don't think I would run it, but I understand the idea behind it. Drive Parry has quickly become what I think is probably the single best card in this set. It's just a 0 mid block that when you block, readies a card foundation in your stage, which is pretty good, but it's the fact that it doesn't have the safety text, so you can actually just ready anything. So like, if you've already readied one card, you can ready it again, and that allows you to reuse a lot of effects. On defense, this is on Infinity, which is, obviously anyone can run it, but it's the same as Moment of Normalcy, so any deck can play this with Moment of Normalcy and ready. And I haven't even covered like the actual use of this card besides blocking, which is cancel a rival enhance ability on a foundation. So a lot of, they might attempt to give something stats, you respond, cancel, and then you ready your reset for later. Like, this card is quite powerful. It does check a 4, but the numbers on it otherwise are great, and the effect is very, very good. So expect to see this one this weekend, I think. Back Shaver. This is a throw. It's a throw with a 2 low block, huh? Response after it deals 4 more damage, freeze a rival foundation. Sure. I mean, it's pretty easy to get throws to deal half damage, right? So you just pump it and freeze something. Falling Crane, after this attack is blocked, your rival adds the top card of their deck to their card pool face down. Okay, I mean, this is pretty funny. There are characters that if the attack deals damage, they fill the card pool, so there's like an if you do, if you don't situation there. And it is a 3 high 8 with stun 1, so this move's pretty big. Swagger Step is a, if you have ready to card in your stage this combat phase, this attack gets 1/1. I mean, it's a 3 diff, that's a 3 mid 4, so this could get pretty big. Not bad at all for Jamie, because Jamie, that's the other thing about Jamie. If the attack is blocked, he readies, so this card could be pretty big in him. Tensho Kicks. I think this card is very cool. This is a 4 high 4. It's not really useful as a offensive tool. It says after your kick deals damage, your rival loses 1. That's not the most relevant thing. However, when you block with it, your rival's high attacks get -2 speed. And it's a 1 high block. So this card is very good against any sort of strategy that wants to go mono high. There's a lot of good cards in these decks, to be honest. This is a 1/6 that puts a kick in your card pool. It's good for Chun-Li because you can put 100 lightning kicks in, and then you can clear with Chun-Li and pick it up and play the 100 lightning kicks. It does check a 6 as well, which is pretty neat. This is commit -2 speed. I mean, pretty standard. Alright. This card, I hate this card. This card says respond after they attempt to give a damage bonus. This attack's damage can't be modified. This is a nightmare for Elder Toguro specifically. And then against other decks, it's just very, very good. It's an extremely good spam card. I think anyone on the water symbol is going to be thinking about this in main or side while it's while it's in rotation. This is a give a kick, break or 2 on block, so it's sort of like a Keiko's Aid card. This one removes a kick from your discard for +2 speed. Just some free stats, pretty solid. This is a commit for +2 damage, and if your attack's completely blocked, the next one gets 2 speed. Sure, not bad. Street Hero. This card is very good. This card is struggling with studies, but slightly more fair. So if you block 2 times their third attack, you can pick something up, which is great. It's just fantastic. Water Symbol loves to get all these cards. And then this is a just Tenacious Flip ready. So yeah, overall, I mean, there were only a couple cards in these decks that I was like, this isn't very good. I think if I were to pick one, it would probably be to get the Chun-Li deck, because it does come with Jamie. It comes with these drive parries, which are great cards. You get a Chimera Kraken Light. You get like this whole engine with 100 lightning kicks. There's a lot to unpack in these, and I think that you could totally, as a first deck, try out like a Jamie kind of thing with 1 or 2 of these precons and take it from there. So I still haven't opened the packs. Hopefully we'd get an alt art, but I'll just go through these quickly. I've been yapping for a bit. I just like these decks. I think they're cool. So we got Burnout, Foil Not Now I'm Gaming, Young Boss of Chinatown, Phantom Sway, that is the Kraken, that's cool. Luke Sweep, and Falling Crane. I do wish these were not just alternate screenshots from the game, but that's okay. They still look good. It's kind of a personal thing. Okay, Endlessly Doting, Street Hero, it's a good one. Hates Lectures, so cool, we got Pale Rider. Pale Rider, this is also the participation promo, I want to say. Sandblast and Solar Plexus Strike. So that's everything. Again, shout out to UVS Games, thanks for giving me the chance to open these. You can get these at your local game store. I definitely recommend the Chun-Li one if you're trying to decide between the two. And yeah, hope to see you guys at the Louisville Regional. See you later.